Hey everyone, it's Char from Char's Fascination, and today it's a when you've lost so much weight and you no longer fit your undergarments, and you can no longer take them in without making them look distorted. So I was gonna finish Rosie the cow today, but I'm like, you know what? Today I'll be doing her this week. I'll be finishing Rosie this week. So, and then we'll be moving on to her friend Sunny the tiger. But first, I need me some undergarment because honestly, even though on the weight scale at the doctor's office they're like, oh, well, you still weigh this amount. Well, I'm not actually sure because they don't go by pounds. They go by some other, like, I don't know, kilograms or something. But I don't know. When did we go into the Matrix? We've been stuck there for a while. So I have a fabric selected, and nobody's going to see it. It's fabric that I recently got from Fabric Mart Fabrics from Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania. I will try to leave their website down below. They always have a variety of fabrics, whether it's on sale. You can go into their bundle fabrics, which you all know, I love a good bargain with those bundle fabrics. Like, you could get 10 yards of fabric for $20. That, a lot of people will be like, ooh, that's expensive. Nope, it's not. So yeah, it's really not that expensive. So I also have other sewing projects that I know I need to finish up. Like, I started this blouse. It's a really nice blouse. Just the back of it. We'll just go by where I have this one marked on the collar. It's right here. This is the back. I need to finish this blouse. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep it or if I might give this to one of my friends. I think that will look cute on Mary Catherine. I think she has a shirt that's similar to this fabric. And I have some of it left over that I might just make a tank top for myself. But that one, I just have to trim up the bottom and trim up the sleeve. And then that one's done. But like I said, we're going to get down to making some undergarment today. And since I've lost my patterns, I will redraft off of what I already have if I can find a pair that's not in the hamper. So yeah, so there's that. I babbled on too long for about 3 minutes. Oh, at least I haven't done like some people. Holy crap, how about those videos where people babble for about 10 minutes? Oh, got it back. Anyway, we'll be right back. And this, you guys know I cut this out. This is a whole other video for this week of getting that finished. Boxes. I would do like some skincare today, but honestly, I don't feel like it. That's why I like doing other video content. So, if you know, I generally use a different kind of paper. Trying to find my one. Ah, there it is. After I move this fabulous fabric, which I'm not making undergarment out of that. I'm making undergarment out of this. So what I actually need to make my pattern is in this. You guys know I have these organizers, and I do like to keep this in there. I do have some fabric in there that I could use, but for undergarment, but it's white. And quite frankly, I don't like white underwear. I do not. I plan on using that for a whole other, like, extreme garment kind of thing. It'll be kind of cool, but at the same time, it's time to put this away under here in the stash, and then we'll just bring this fabric over here, and I will show you real quick. I think I have some of this in parts. Nope, this is the big piece, which is great. I don't mind that. This is not fabric marked. This is from Joann. When I had the chance to actually go to Joann Fabric, I think it was last year, yeah it was, and get me some of this. And don't forget that when you're drafting, if you want to keep that down like that, just, even though you have the line, it doesn't always work out that way. So sometimes it cuts it very uneven. And we only need a certain amount of this, so we're not needing some gigantic piece, even though I'm not a small person. We do not need gigantor for this, honestly. So don't forget to have that down. So that when you go to cut, what you try to do is cut along a specific line. These pink scissors come in handy. Now, I always see the advertisements for those Guggenheim scissors or fabric shears. I honestly, it doesn't attract me. I don't know about some of you out there, but the Guggenheims do not seem like they're all that. And always see like people trying to endorse the Guggenheim, but also not everybody can afford them. If you can get yourself a good pair of fabric shears that don't cost an arm and a freaking leg, a car payment, your rent payment, whatever, get whatever you can afford. And I still have a lot of this left. Besides, I have ideas for making pattern. That's what I use this for. Yes, I do note that this is a fusible webbing. This is the grid fusible webbing, but I do use it as pattern paper for a specific reason. Now, what I'm going to do out of this is just make a simple draft. So, let me get something here. I shouldn't have put that pen back. But what I like to do most of the time is just use one of these, which I just realized I need to sharpen. Yeah, I need to sharpen that. There we go, good enough. I use the same one that I use for sharpener that I use for my makeup. Nothing wrong with that. Now it's a matter of finding a pair of underpants that I may or may not have worn, and just cut me a pattern. We'll be back. Now, if you remember these, now I had made these two high-waisted, so this band right here literally goes under my bra. So what we'd want to do is make sure that they are at least, the waistband would be right here, not all the way up there. I could still wear these. I could still cut these down, which I will do. These are a comfortable fit. Both my leg holes are different, yes. And why? Because I have one leg, as you might well know, that I have medical issues with. And because of that, the leg hole has to be cut slightly different than the other one, because my right hip has been swollen since 1997, 98. And the medical procedure for the surgery went wrong. And I still have some fluid on my hip, which is never good. So we're going to go ahead. And now remember, when you're doing this, give yourself at least a 1/2 inch to 1 inch seam allowance. So when you come out here, right, so you're going to mark right here where you're giving your seam allowance at the top. And then what's great about this paper is, because of the squares, each square measures out to 1 inch. So you can do that and not have to worry about what's at the bottom, because that's going to be perfect for everything. So again, we take that out right here, and then you want to take this down. Now, quite frankly, you could just cut the paper, flip it, cut it, and that's what we'll do. And we'll be back with that part cut and the other part cut when we come back. Actually, you may not realize that you can lay these the same way, as long, and that's why I decided to show you this part, as long as you have that other piece there. Now, yes, you do want the back booty piece to lay a little bigger, obvious reasons why, because you know, front, back, different, because you want something to cover your booty on the back, unless you're one of those chicks that wants your cheeks hanging out and mosquitoes biting that all summer. That's on you. I do not like that. So again, there's a 1 inch seam allowance. Now I marked this as front because it's the front, and then I marked where my seam allowances are, right here where you see SA, that's seam allowance. And that way, even right here, let me show you something. I was not going to bring my chair over here, but my back was saying, what in the what are you doing? What are you trying to do? So, something I can show you with this, my lawnmower crazy neighbors are out, is when you go to do that, you see how that flows? After you have taken that pencil over that has made such an indentation on this that you could literally go along that draft line like that. You probably can't really see that. Yes, you can. So you see how that just folds back like that? That's your seam allowance, so that when you go to actually draft on your fabric, you will not have a problem getting that curve in there. Now, I could just do this as a half of a piece. Sometimes I just like to draft it as a whole piece because this could be reusable for drafting. I'm not a tiny bikini person. Y'all know that. So this could also be a draft piece or a bottom of a swimsuit. Now, if I wanted to do the boy short version of an underpant, absolutely. Do I want to smother my thighs in the summer? Not really. But anyway, the other part of this, when you fold that draft right here and you come right here to this little part, you just plain and simple right up the center. That way you can fold that there, you can fold that there, and that's where they will join, right there. So basically you've just notched out your little section here. Put that over here. You actually notched out where this meets. Does that make some sense? Because when you go to fold this back, right, when you go to fold this back like that and like that, it disappears. Look, it disappears. So that's one way to notch this, so that when it comes down to the literal garment for your seam allowance piece, when you go to fold that down, you have a mitered edge. See, you have a mitered edge right here, and that will help with your self-drafting for your clothes. So like I said, you know, I'm gonna get this other piece cut out, finished, and then we don't have to actually worry about waistband measurement, because you don't always have to have a waistband under your on your undergarment. Not necessarily. If I wanted, because I have the other fabric, I could literally make a tankini. I'm not a tankini person, but if I want to go lounge out in the sun, that is an option for me. Which I need to do. I need to go get me a chair next month and just go bathe in the sun. But get this cut out and we'll be right back. Okay, now that we actually have the back piece drafted, I know you might not be able to see this too well. Now, because this curves different, right, you'll still have that notch piece here, but because it curves here, you want to notch that. So when you come along to this section, because this is the part that's going to curve and go straight down. So we want to take it, find that section where we will need to notch, which would be right about, you'll have a notch here and you'll have a notch here. Okay, there is a good reason for that, because if you don't put these notches in, it's not going to work out too good for you. Okay, so now that we have that, and like I said, this makes you have a mitered corner for drafting your underpant or whatever you want to use this pattern for. Do not be afraid to, especially in this day and age, and I'm just going to say it, you can't even really afford to go out and buy underwear. Make your own. Make your own. You are not a cookie cutter. You have no reason to live in the cookie cutter environment, such as we all have currently been living in. So if you can make your own clothes, and you know what though, I hear a lot of people say, oh, I wish I had your talent. You can learn how to sew just by watching. you can do some of these stitches by hand, like a lock stitch. You can do a lock stitch just with your hand sewing. Now, as you can see here where I have this folded now, we're coming up to this. So as we're coming up to that, we want to notch it right here. So again, when we fold back here, this is what we do. We just take this piece, fold it back this way so that you have your little triangle. And you do that here, you have your little triangle. And that way when it's together on the other side, your mitered edges are there. Okay? That way when you go to sew that, right, when you go to sew that, your mitered edge is right here. Now just remember these things because, you know, watching the video, watch it as many times as you want to learn this, but I honestly believe that everybody has some sort of talent, and when you want to learn something, oh, you know, I wish I could do what you do. This is why I'm here, so that I could teach you how to do these things. You can use wrapping paper that has the grid on the back. That's what a lot of us use. And some of us do use this paper, which is actually a fusible webbing. So later on, as you need to downsize, I always make my pattern bigger than me. Okay, and I do this on purpose because the Hashimoto's disease makes my weight fluctuate even though I'm losing the weight. I'm glad to be able to have a bigger pattern. So in case, let's say I have a friend that says, you know, I would like to have this made for me, and then I have something in their size as well. So let's go ahead and mark this. I should just be using a pen because it uses up a lot of this. But oh well. It's for this video. And again, there it is. It's the back, the front, the back, the whole thing. And now it's time to cut that fabric. Now, no worries. I have a lot of this left. Now, I had started another project with this fabric, so that can go over there. And now that we have the front and back cut out, I don't have fabric weight, so I just use whatever you got. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Obviously, you're going to know the front from the back because of the shape. So we can now just put our pattern to the side, and then make sure your tools are moved. And you want to do this front face to front face. I know this seems a little weird for some people. Now what I did was I left that selvage on here because that is a good thing to do. Now that's also why I cut this the way I did, because I knew I would have that selvage to go on. Now that matches up great. So what I will end up doing, and I forgot to notch one side on the front, but that's okay because I do know where my mitered edge will be, right in here, and so I won't have an issue with that. I did notch it on this, on the back piece, so and I have like my fabric clips over there. Now honestly, I'm not worried about what thread I have on the sewing machine. That's left over from when I made my regalia. So let's get this over there and get to sewing. This is an easy project to do. Like I said, don't hesitate to measure yourself. Okay, hair, anyone? Wait. Camille, you're still here with me. That's from that box. Anyway, that's funny. Oh, Mary Catherine's cat, Camille. I recognize that hair. It's funny. Anyway, let's get over to the sewing machine. Okay, now that we're over here, you see I have this one side clipped down, and I did go ahead and get that piece, or that back in there instead. Put that there for what we could do as a mitered edge. You don't have to double fold this, honestly. You do not. Now, you can do this part right here before you actually attach the sides if you want. And that might actually make it easier for you. I could just go ahead and do that. Will that make a huge difference in how this connects? Not really, because when you go to connect the crotch area here, remember you are going to be folding this back. Here's the mitered edge here. So when you go to fold that miter back like that, what you're going to do, and you honestly, you don't have to miter this. It does help to have it trimmed back. A lot of these fabrics are made so that you don't necessarily have to roll hem, which I could do. I need to get that piece for my Singer Heavy Duty 4452 because I already have it for my Sears Kenmore. It came with it. Yeah, that. Take a breath, because that's a lot to say. So, like I said, you don't necessarily have to do this part right away. You could just go ahead and do your edges or your sides and then go ahead and roll this back. So let me go ahead and just show you how you could go ahead and do that before attaching the side panel. The sides together on this, which might necessarily help you. And since it's such a bright fabric, I was like, you know what, ain't nobody gonna see this except for me, you know, wearing it. Y'all get to see me make it though. You just don't get to see me wearing them. You'll never know when I have these on. So, like I said, I do like to make them bigger than my actual size. That way, I can always take them in. Okay, you see how I have that now. We don't touch this part because that is where you put that with the side. And I remember to pull out the scissors and notch. So, just put these over here, move my phone, because why not? And get to sewing. So, Rocco's back out on the road. He left at 4 something in the morning. Yeah. So, he called me at whatever time it was he felt like calling me, letting me know that he made it somewhere. I think he's near Connecticut. Cat hairs. It's hilarious. So, let me get my knee straight for a minute. My knee has been acting up. In fact, my son called me and told me his knee was acting up. Same knee. He has no idea why his knee bothers him. He said he never injured it. Could have been a lot of things he went through growing up. So as you can see here, which will put you a little closer so that you might be able to see that a little bit better. There we go. So as you can see here, I'm just going to use a straight stitch. That helps you see it a little better. Like I've told people before, there is no way to shut the light off and sew. My foot's on the pedal. If you don't switch that on, the sew don't go. So does that make sense? Bad sewing pun, but it's kind of funny. So I found out I have a silent watcher. Hey, Harriet. Shout out to Rocco's sister. Can you put a crotch lining in this? Absolutely you can. If you want, that's up to you. A lot of people do. Some of us don't. Honestly, I don't feel it's necessary if it's just going to be me. If I was making it for somebody else, perhaps, but like I said, I'm going to now be super selective of who I sew for anymore because of the people out there that pull their shenanigans. Like, look, I get it. You said that you wish that, you could sew. You can always learn the trade. Nobody's holding you back but yourself. If you can't achieve something that you've always wished that you could do, try to achieve it. That way you know that you can. Does that make sense? Now, if I don't miter this corner, which I should have left my scissors out. There we go. Then we won't have this proper. Okay. Need to do that a little extra. I thought I got that good enough, but whatever. I'll get it. There we go. Besides, I accidentally snipped that a little too low anyway. Your mitered edge. Okay. So exactly, you want to take that from your mitered edge, and you don't touch this part. Remember that, just your mitered edge. And start taking that fabric clip. Make sure that's together, and then easily work the rest of the way down. So I'm going to finish this one up, and then I'll do the leg band area on the other one and then put it together. And that'll be it for this one. Of course, we'll be back and I'll show them to you, but not on my person. Okay, now we're back. Now, there is something else that I will be doing with like the other parts because, first of all, let's kind of move these clips up this way. They're just here to hold it together. Now, when you go to do the sides, remember you have that 1-inch seam allowance for a reason. Now, I'm going to put this over to the serger stitch, otherwise known to some people as an overlock. And let's get that to line back up because that helps. really it actually really helps if it does. Do not forget to reverse stitch. You might be like, but wait, Char, aren't you going at an angle? Indeed I am. So I have taken that 1-inch seam allowance now and have adjusted that. Now there's a reason why I sew it like that, is so that just in case, I can go ahead and take these off of here, just in case I can, don't forget to use that. That is a cutting tool. Right here, do not forget that is a thread cutting tool. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's wrong if you don't use it. Now, you have the seam allowance in case you need to take it out. That's why you use the serger stitch. That way, it's adjustable over time. I'm not going to say adjust this too much, because if you have this exactly where you want to have it, you could take it down like this, and then you can straight stitch that, and that will be permanent. Unless you want to pick that out. I know I definitely wouldn't. Anyway, so now we're going to just quickly do this to this side. And normally I would sew that different, but we're not doing that today. Just gonna do this. We're going to get this on here really nice and everything. And if you noticed, I kind of went below the edge of the fabric at the ends here. And as you come up to this side, remember, like right here, I don't even know if you can see that. See if you can see it in a minute. Right here is where the end of that fabric is. Exactly where the tip of my finger is. Okay, now we bring that back up. Out there. Use this, or use your choice what you use. For you, this is me. I do what I do for my clothes. And now we have this. Okay, now like I said, we have enough on both sides. They're not exactly like perfectly equal, maybe. Anyway, they're close enough that the next thing to be done on something like this, and I will show you because of the crotch. Let's bring you back down this way. Because of the crotch, otherwise people call it a gusset, it's a crotch. Okay, now I do this on purpose, like I said, because right here on the part that covers your boutah, you see how that doesn't match right there, but that will momentarily, because you're still keeping the booty area covered in the back. That's why we want that little extra. That's also why I said a 1-inch seam allowance. And like I told you, both my legs are a different size, so that when I go back and I stitch this down again, when I bring it back here, and don't be afraid to have like that little extra right here in the front. And why? Because that gives you extra breathing room for the couture, is what that's for. That is giving the couture some extra breathing room. Like, look, we ladies gotta give some breathing room to that and not smother the couture with things that, yes, it looks pretty, but is it actually healthy for their area? Is it? I don't, maybe it's just me. I don't think it's too healthy for that part of our body to smother the crap out of it. But that's just my thought and opinion. You can also, again, other than just bringing it back like this, if you wanted to, you could just go like this and do a rolled hem all the way. That way, you know, like, even though you got that part hemmed, you still match it here. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we will come back to finishing the crotch, and then I will show you the finished product. And now, because I have that stitched, I'm not worried about the front part. Honestly, I could just trim that back. So I just don't want to lose any extra coverage in the front. So again, 1 inch seam allowance all the way, which also means you can do what I'm going to do right here, which is actually give my parts some extra room. Because, yeah. Actually, I'm going to have to use my other foot to do this. My right leg is giving me some issues. But that ain't going to make me cry tissues. No, it doesn't. Sometimes I have to give my right leg a break and use my left. Very ambidextrous, but I'm cool with it. Now, if you notice, I am sewing on curve. Why am I sewing on a curve? You might wonder. Because sewing on that curve actually helps to cup the area a little better when you're making underpants. It actually cups it. If you backstitch in a strange direction, don't worry about it. Like I said, you'll be the only one seeing your underpants. So, except for on here, you'll be seeing these, like I said, just not on me. So, switch that off. See, actually making a pair of underpants from cut to finish can take you, quite literally, if you have enough time in the day, can take you at least a half an hour if you're not too sure about how you want this. See, like, the hemline is great. It's in the right area. A lot of these manufactured, you know, big, oh yeah, that's gonna fit great. Give me a minute. I just want to like try them on under, oh, not under, over my pants. Okay, well, they do fit, okay? Now they will roll without a waistband. And I honestly need a waistband on these because I have a lot of hip, as you've probably all noticed. I have big hips. So, and this side over here, this hip over here, when the doctors did my first knee surgery, they forgot to drain all the fluid, so I still have like a pocket of fluid in my hip. So that's another reason why I tend to make my own. I mean, does that make sense? So I will add a waistband to these later on because I have to go get dinner out. But I'm so glad I have a new pair, and they're very stretchy. I do like that. This is why I like getting fabric from Fabric Mart Fabrics in Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania, just to like show y'all. It's got that good, really, really good 4-way stretch. And don't be ashamed to make things for your body shape, your body size. Things that complement your shape. Because a lot of people out there are trying to wear things that do not complement their body. And they're like, oh my God, this doesn't that. Complement your body size and shape with garments that fit right, even if you have to make it yourself. Because in my 40+ years of sewing, I've seen a lot of people want the wrong fit. That's the back. This is the front. And, I'm not afraid to say it. I'll wear a pair of granny panties. I don't care. And I'm somebody's grandma. So, anyway, like I said, remember, we're not cookie cutters. We can't wear everything that you see out there on the internet, on whatever website, because sometimes those are measured wrong. And with that said, stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive, and as always, stay blessed. Sorry. I'm dry today. And like I said, I'm going to end up putting a waistband on these, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I just got to go take care of dinner now.